Welcome back to the Dry Fasting Club. Today we're going to be talking all about dry fasting and how it works. A lot of people are starting to open their eyes to fasting, but dry fasting is still something that most people are scared of, and it's still shrouded in mystery. It doesn't matter that dry fasting has been around for so long. In fact, it's still being practiced yearly during a time called Ramadan, a religious fasting month. Despite its ancient roots that go back thousands of years, the scientific community is still behind and lost when it comes to dry fasting and the forgotten art. So let's explore topics about dry fasting, like what is it and why would you even want to do it? We'll also look into things like why do animals instinctively dry fast when they get really, really sick? Why is dry fasting mentioned multiple times in the Bible? And questions like what is autophagy and how does dry fasting supercharge it? So strap yourselves in. Welcome to the Dry Fasting Club. Please remember that all fasting should be done with medical supervision. All information provided here should be viewed as informational only and should never supersede medical advice. When you are adding fasting or making lifestyle and dietary changes, please discuss with your medical professional first. Dry fasting means no food and no water. Yes, you heard that correct. Where water fasting allows you to hydrate, a dry fast does not. People often think that you'll die if you don't get to drink water for 3 days. It's kind of like how people used to think the Earth was the center of the solar system. In fact, there's legitimate studies that track people dry fasting for up to 5 days. And there are also many testimonials of people dry fasting for much, much longer. Dry fasting is 3 times stronger and 3 times faster than water fasting, especially when it comes to things like detoxification, weight loss, and health benefits. But by the same logic, it's also 3 times more dangerous. With great power comes great responsibility, so don't be a dummy, learn to dry fast properly. Did you know that humans used to dry fast all the time back in the day? Nearly all religious texts refer to some kind of fasting, and dry fasting is included as well. In fact, the Bible references dry fasting multiple times. In the Christian religion, there's this thing called the Black Fast, and it used to be very popular. It was a form of dry fasting done near the end of Lent. The Jewish religion has a holiday called Yom Kippur, and it is a 25-hour dry fast done once a year. And Muslims all over the world practice a month-long intermittent dry fast during the month of Ramadan. So obviously, dry fasting is not new to the human race. It's been around for a while, yet we still treat it as something taboo. Maybe it's time to unlock this secret hidden art and use it and harness it for all of its health and healing benefits. When you imagine a very sick animal, you sometimes picture it laying down and refusing both food and water. Sometimes it recovers, sometimes it doesn't. But is it possible that instinctively the body tells you to dry fast as a last resort? Imagine harnessing that power not as a last resort. This may be a powerful tool for anti-aging and all age-related diseases. What about animals that hibernate? They're essentially dry fasting. Of course, humans dry fasting versus animals hibernating are not the same thing, but we can't ignore the similarities. Did you know that studies have shown that hibernation actually has so many positive benefits? Things like neuroprotection, anti-inflammatory, muscle sparing, and so much more. These animals don't eat or drink for such a long period of time, and yet their bodies undergo powerful healing transformations. Did we stumble upon an ancient secret? I mean, if dry fasting really is 3 times stronger, wouldn't you rather dry fast for 1 day than water fast for 3 days? Think about the efficiency. You're probably thinking, how can the body go for longer than 3 days without water? Well, the answer is metabolic water. If you really think about it, shouldn't our bodies have evolved some sort of mechanism to survive extreme droughts or situations where we don't have a lot of water? What if you were in a coma for a little bit? What about sick animals that stop eating and drinking for multiple days? And what about those hibernating animals? Now, I'm not saying that we should live off of metabolic water, but what I am saying is that we can go so much longer than you normally would think. There's actually a study done on zebra finches that shows that when they were dry fasted, they actually lost less muscle and more fat than the birds that were water fasted. There was actually almost double the amount of fat loss in the dry fasting birds. And when it came to the hydration of the birds, this is what the study had to say. The water balance of birds fasting without access to water seemed to be maintained by elevated fat catabolism, which generated 6 times more metabolic water compared with that in birds that had access to water. Yes, I know that we are not zebra finches, but this study corroborates most dry fasting testimonials, meaning that we are seeing similarities in humans even if there's no official human studies. What about autophagy? And why is dry fasting sometimes called autophagy on steroids? There's actually a few studies showing that there is a new form and an upgraded supercharged form of autophagy that only happens when you dry fast. There's this paper called Hypertonic Stress Promotes Autophagy and Microtubule-Dependent Autophagosomal Clusters. You should check it out. This paper shows us that the body has an amazing way of combating the stress of dehydration and increased salinity. In fact, during a dry fast, our body is able to activate some sort of mechanisms that science can't even explain yet that protect our body from these dangerous environments. And the paper shows that during this process of activating these mechanisms, we actually activate new forms of autophagy, supercharged autophagy, and there's even restructuring of the interior of cells. Think of it like the skeletons of the cells are being fixed, repaired, and restructured. Dry fasting also speeds up ketosis. Obviously, that means it's burning fat faster, but it also activates a new form of autophagy called chaperone-mediated autophagy. If you're a fan of autophagy, know that there is no more powerful autophagy on this planet than dry fasting autophagy. All of these benefits seem pretty crazy, right? Once again, it proves that the body and its evolution far surpasses our current scientific understanding. Well, this brings us to the end of this episode. Remember, no two people are identical, so there will not be two identical fasting experiences. When doing big lifestyle changes, it's always important to consult your doctor, your medical professional. Dry fasting is the most powerful form of fasting, so with great power comes great responsibility. Remember, take baby steps. Rome was not built in a day. Thanks for sticking around. If you've dry fasted before, have any questions or requests for future topics, please leave them in the comments below. I always check the comments for inspiration and ideas. You should also check out the Discord community where you can meet other new and experienced dry fasters. Thank you and good luck on your dry fasting journey.